Hello, all you beautiful people out there, and welcome to my channel for another Saturday live stream. Today, we're talking about Job 6 through 9, but before we get to that, we need to get to the comment of the week. And yes, I know sometimes I do have comments of the week, and sometimes I don't. Um, Look at the draw, I guess. So, anyway, today's comment of the week goes to Fish Head Salad. In Ken Ham and science don't mix well. Okay, so Fishhead says at 8:48, 8 minutes 48 seconds, Psalm 104 says nothing about raising mountains after the flood, nor does it say anything about God lowering sea basins. Once again, Ken is lying. Surprise, surprise. Yes, thank you, Fishhead, um, for pointing that out. Here is what he is talking about. Psalm 104, 6 through 9. Thou covered it with the deep as with a garment. The waters stood above the mountains. At thy rebuke they fled. At the voice of thy thunder they hasted away. They go up by the mountains, they go down by the valleys, unto the place which thou hast founded for them. Thou hast set a boundary that they may not pass over, that they turn not again to cover the earth. Okay, so then he like translates it, uh, or they translate it rather. Sorry, misgendering here. All right. The translation, his translation, God covered the entire earth with water, and the water level was above every mountain. God then disproved and used a strong voice to magically make the waters subside rapidly. The waters go up by the mountains, the waters go down by the valleys into the place which God made for them. God then set the sea level so that the oceans cannot rise and flood the earth again. And I actually agree with that. Of course, the fact that we've had many, many, many local floods since then, uh, kind of, you know, makes the makes that totally false. But anyway, not going there. All right. Um, Nowhere here is it ever said that God raised the mountains or lowered the sea basins after or during the subsiding of waters. However, it does say that all that water magically subsided into the sea basins. That is as dumb as saying, then God magically poured a gallon of water into a 6-ounce cup. LOL. Yeah, I totally agree. Plus, God is clearly stating that ocean levels are static now, and that after the flood subsided, the ocean levels have never changed because God set a bound on the ocean levels. Exactly, which is why this is false. Ken and his cronies always say that there are marine fossils on top of mountains. What they intentionally omit is that the fossils are always only fossils that we find in ancient limestone strata. In other words, no modern fish or marine mammals are ever found, let alone other terrestrial animals like people, elephants, etc., that would have landed there, as well as everything else that eventually sank. Yes, that is indeed the case. Um, he also omits the fact that if animals were sinking all over a flood covered mountain range, they would sink all over the mountain range, not just magically on the peaks of only mountains just happen to be made of limestone strata in which the fossils are found. Yeah, very good point, Fishhead. And I'm sorry I'm um, not reading this very well. My eyes are very poor. Don't get old, people. Okay, moving on. When Ken mentions, quote, evidence for massive lakes behind this area in the past, or as you called it, paleo lakes above the Grand Canyon, he is referring to Lake Bittahoche and the Bittahoche spillover. And then he um, takes a video that we can search for. The only problem, again, is Ken's blatant omissions, aka lies. He conveniently omits that these ancient lakes from about 20 million years ago during the Neogene by no means fit into any post global flood scenario of 4,500 years ago. Thank you, Fishhead, for that. I will look at that video later. Um, I don't know whether Paleo Lakes is the official term for it or not. Sorry about that. Um, I don't know whether Paleo Lakes is the geologic term. I'm still learning about geology. Um, paleo meaning ancient and lake, so I just thought, you know, that was a good term. If it's not, please correct me. I'm always open for correction. So, anyway, thank you, Fishhead, for that very informative um, comment. And now we will get on with um, making fun of the um, interpretation of the Bible that I grew up with. Apologies to the Jews. I am in no way trying to make fun of your holy book. I'm only making fun of the interpretation that I grew up with, which is probably not the real interpretation that you have. So just wanted to put that out there. Alrighty, let's begin. Chapter 6. Then Job replied, if only my anguish could be weighed and all my misery be placed on the scales, it would surely outweigh the sand of the seas. No wonder my words have been impetuous. It sounds like he's got depression, which, I mean, situational depression is a thing. And if I had gone through what this dude had gone through, which I don't believe he went through all that, but if I had, yeah, I'd be situationally depressed too. Verse 4. The arrows of the Almighty are in me, my spirit drinks in their poison. God's terrors are marshaled against me. Does a wild donkey bray when it has grass, or an ox bellow when it has fodder? Is tasteless food eaten without salt, or is there flavor in the sap of the mallow? Let's see what a mallow is. The meaning of the Hebrew phrase is uncertain. Gee, thank you very much. That's very helpful. Okay, moving on. Verse 7. I refuse to touch it. Such food makes me ill. Oh, that I might have my request, that God would grant what I hope for, that God would be willing to crush me, to let loose his hand and cut off my life. Then I would still have this consolation, my joy in unrelenting pain, that I had not denied the words of the Holy One. What strength do I have that I should still hope? What prospects that I should be patient? Do I have the strength of stone? Is my flesh bronze? Do I have any power to help myself now that success has been driven from me? Anyone who withholds kindness from a friend forsakes the fear of the Almighty, but my brothers are as undependable as intermittent streams. Okay, so God is obviously withholding kindness from Job, so he's forsaking himself, obviously. Eh, Anyway, moving on. But my brothers are as undependable as intermittent streams, as the streams that overflow when darkened by thawing ice and swollen with melting snow, but that stop flowing in the dry season and in the heat vanish from their channels. Caravans turn aside from their routes. They go off into the wasteland and perish. The caravans of Tema look for water. The traveling merchants of Sheba look in hope. They are distressed because they have been confident. They arrive there only to be disappointed. Now you two have proved to be of no help. You are something dreadful and are afraid. Have I ever said give something on my behalf? Pay ransom for me from your wealth. Deliver me from the hand of the enemy. Rescue me from the clutches of the ruthless. Teach me and I will be quiet. Show me where I've been wrong. How painful are honest words, but what do your arguments prove? Do you mean to correct what I say and treat my desperate words as wind? You would even cast lots for the fatherless and barter away your friend. Okay, I should have said this before I started. This is Job's answer to his quote unquote friends. hmm With friends like that, who needs enemies? I think I said that last week. Okay, moving on. Verse 28. But now be so kind as to look at me. Would I lie to your face? Relent, do not be unjust. Reconsider, for my integrity is at stake. Is there any wickedness in my lips? Can my mouth discern malice? Do not mortals have hard service on earth? Chapter 7. Are not their days like those of hired laborers, like a slave longing for the evening shadows, or a hired laborer waiting to be paid? So I have been allotted months of futility, and nights of misery have been assigned to me. When I lie down and I think, how long before I get up? The night drags on, and I toss and turn until dawn. My body is clothed with worms and scabs. My skin is broken and festering. Lovely description, Job. We really could have gone without that, but I understand. You're blowing off steam. It's okay. My days are swifter than a weaver's shuttle, and they come to an end without hope. Verse 7. Remember, God, that my life is but a breath. My eyes will never see happiness again. The eye that now sees me will see me no longer. You will look for me, but I will be no more. As a cloud vanishes and is gone, so one who goes down to the grave does not return. He will never come to his house again. His place will know him no more. Therefore, I will not keep silent. I will speak in the anguish of my spirit. I will complain in the bitterness of my soul. Am I the sea or the monster of the deep, that you put me under guard? When I think my bed will comfort me and my couch will ease my complaint, even then you frightened me with dreams and terrified me with visions, so that I prefer strangling and death rather than this body of mine. I despise my life. I would not live forever. Let me alone. My days have no meaning. Okay, so just wanted to pop in here and say Job is complaining to, against his friends, but um, I was taught that in this soliloquy, he's also complaining to God. So he's complaining against God. I was taught, not just his friends. But notice who he's not complaining against. He's not complaining against the Satan. And why do you think that is? Could it be that in this um, book, in this worldview that the Satan can do nothing that God does not allow him to do, which is very true. In this worldview, the Satan cannot do anything God does not allow him to do. I will leave you to your own conclusion on that. Verse 17. What is mankind that you make so much of them, that you give them so much attention, that you examine them every morning and test them every moment? Will you never look away from me or let me alone even for an instant? If I have sinned, what have I done to you? You who see everything we do, why have you made me your target? Have I become a burden to you? Why do you not pardon my offenses and forgive my sins? For I will soon lie down in the dust. You will search for me, but I will be no more. Notice that in this book, the book of Job, the earliest of the books written in Tanakh, there's no mention of hell. It's just the grave, which, depending upon where you're reading, in Tanakh, it always means grave. Okay? There's no eternal place of eternal torment. That's a Christian thing. But anyway, um, in Tanakh, it's always the grave. All right, moving on. Chapter 8. Then Bildad the Shuhite replied, how long will you say such things? Your words are a blustering wind. Does God pervert justice? Does the Almighty pervert what is right? Uh, do you really want me to answer that question? I think everybody knows what my answer will be, so moving on. Verse 4. When your children sinned against him, he gave them over to the penalty of their sin. But if you will seek God earnestly and plead with the Almighty, if you are pure and upright, even now, he will rouse himself on your behalf and restore you to your prosperous state. Notice that Bildad is saying, look, you brought this on yourself because obviously you've sinned, which is exactly what Christians today say. You've obviously sinned. You brought this upon yourself. Repent for whatever you sinned, and everything will magically go away. No, it doesn't work like that. Plus, there's no such thing as sin. I know Christians think there is, but there's not. So, you know, it's just life, people. Good people go through it, bad people go through it. It's just life. Get over yourselves. Verse 7. Your beginnings will seem humble, so prosperous will your future be. Ask Verse 8. Ask the former generation and find out what their ancestors learned. For we were born only yesterday and know nothing, and our days on earth are but a shadow. Will they not instruct you and tell you? Will they not bring forth words from their understanding? Can papyrus grow tall where there is no marsh? Can reeds thrive without water? While still growing and uncut, they wither more quickly than grass. Such is the destiny of all who forget God. So perishes the hope of the godless. What they trust in is fragile. What they rely on is a spider's web. Yeah, so exactly what Christians do nowadays. Blame the sufferer. Exactly. You know, maybe we should just start calling Christians Bildads. What do you think? Christians, Bildads, same thing. All right, moving on. Verse 15. They lean on the web, but it gives way. They cling to it, but it does not hold. They are like a well watered plant in the sunshine, spreading its shoots over the garden. It entwines its roots around a pile of rocks and looks for a place among the stones. But when it is torn from its spot, that place disowns it and says, I never saw you. Surely its life withers away, and from the soil other plants grow. Surely God does not reject one who is blameless or strengthen the hands of evildoers. Yeah. Uh, Totally wrong. Of course, I reject this God, but, you know, um, but totally wrong. Otherwise, why would we have wars? Come on. Verse 21. He will yet fill your mouth with laughter and your lips with shouts of joy. Your enemies will be clothed in shame, and the tents of the wicked will be no more. Chapter 9. Yay, we made it. Then Job replied, Indeed, I know that this is true, but how can mere mortals prove their innocence before God? So, you know, now Bildad has Job thinking, well, maybe I really did do something wrong. People, this is not helpful. Okay? Just stop, Christians. You're not helping anything when you do this shit. Verse 3. Though they wished to dispute with him, they could not answer him one time out of 1,000. His wisdom is profound. I beg to differ, but moving on. His power is vast. Who has resisted him and come out unscathed? He moves mountains without their knowing it and overturns them in his anger. He shakes the earth from its place and makes its pillars tremble. And here we have another place where science and the Bible do not mix. The earth does not have pillars, and it's not fixed in a place either. Verse 7. He speaks to the sun, and it does not shine. He seals off the light of the stars. He alone stretches out the heavens and treads on the waves of the sea. He is the maker of the Bear and Orion, the Pleiades, and the constellations of the south. Okay, so I think I'm going to click on this footnote, but I think the bear is talking about constellation or of Leo. Okay. Leo goes, Leo actually is the lion, but okay. But yeah, it's a constellation. Verse 10. He performs wonders that cannot be fathomed, miracles that cannot be counted. When he passes me, I cannot see him. When he goes by, I cannot perceive him. Well, gee, maybe if you can't see him or even perceive him, maybe he doesn't exist. Just a thought. Verse 12. If he snatches away, who can stop him? Who can say to him, What are you doing? God does not restrain his anger. Even the cohorts of Rahab cowered at his feet. How then can I dispute with him? How can I find words to argue with him? Though I were innocent, I could not answer him. I could only plead with my judge for mercy. Even if I summoned him and he responded, I do not believe he would give me a hearing. He would crush me with a storm and multiply my wounds for no reason. He would not let me catch my breath, but would overwhelm me with misery. If it is a matter of strength, he is mighty, and if it is a matter of justice, who can challenge him? Even though he can be unjust. Sure. Whatever. Moving on. Verse 20. Even if I were innocent, my mouth would condemn me. Why? If I were blameless, sorry about that, it would pronounce me guilty. Again, why? Verse 21. Although I am blameless, I have no concern for myself. I despise my own life. It is all the same. That is why I say he destroys both the blameless and the wicked. Yep, and he's one sick son of a bitch. Verse 23. When a scourge brings sudden death, he mocks the despair of the innocent. You are not painting a very good picture of your God. Verse 24. When a land falls into the hands of the wicked, he blindfolds its judges. If it is not he, then who is it? My days are swifter than a runner. They fly away with a glimpse of joy. They skim past like boats of papyrus, like eagles swooping down on their prey. If I say I will forget my complaint, I will change my expression and smile. I still dread all my sufferings, for I know you will not hold me innocent. Again, why? You've done nothing wrong. And people wonder why we reject this God. Moving on, verse 29. Since I am already found guilty, why should I struggle in vain? How do you know you're found guilty? Verse 30. Even if I washed myself with soap and my hands with cleansing powder, you would plunge me into a slime pit so that even my clothes would detest me. Nothing to say there. Verse 32. He is not a mere mortal like me, that I might answer him. Really? So I did you, that we might confront each other in court. If only there were someone to mediate between us, someone to bring us together, someone to remove God's rod from me, so that his terror would frighten me no more. Then I would speak up without fear of him, but as it now stands with me, I cannot. Well, there goes the Jesus hypothesis blown out of the water because if you adhere to the Bible, Job is saying there is no intermediary between us and God. And Christianity says, yes, there is, and his name is Jesus. Hmm. Of course, this is assuming that I believe the Tanakh, which I don't, but this is why the Jews don't believe in Jesus, people. And I am learning so much of the Jewish faith, even though I'm not convinced of it. But it's nice to learn what the Hebrew really means. I don't read Hebrew. Um, so I'm pretty much dependent on the rabbis. Um, and speaking of rabbis, tomorrow, um, if my anxiety does not act up, I will be on tomorrow with another segment of Rabbi Tobias Singer's Let's Get Biblical. If you will, click the like button or the dislike button. I don't fucking care. And leave a comment down in the comment section. It helps the algorithm. And I will see you later. I may be on later today. Not sure. Um, it depends on, again, my anxiety. So, have a wonderful rest of the day if I don't come back on. And um, I will talk to you later. Bye. Oh, one more thing. If you are financially able, and only if you are financially able, if you're not, I don't want you to even think about it. Please think about becoming a member of this channel. You can become a member for as low as 99 cents a month. Um, you get custom emojis and debunks early. Um, if you want to make a one time donation, you can go to my PayPal. And that's it for today. Bye.